take a sacred moment together and just close your eyes. There's so much going around outside you. Fireworks, so much activity. But just allow the awareness, allow the attention, allow that power of your intention to pull inwards. No matter how loud the noise or how bright the lights outside, ultimately the path is a path inward. So today is a perfect opportunity with all of the noise outside to use that power of attention and intention and draw the awareness in. Diwali falls on the new moon, what we call Amavasya, the moonless night. And so it's an opportunity for us to see the light that shines inside. On a night with no moon, where's the light? It's inside. Just take a moment and allow yourself to see the light that shines within you. It may seem like a small flicker at first, but notice that the more awareness you give it, the brighter the light gets. Keep turning the awareness inside. Allow yourself to see and to feel that light burning within you. And use that light within to see yourself. Don't worry about what it looks like visually. It may be just an experience. It may not be something visual. But allow that inner light to shine so that even for just a moment, even if it's just a glimpse, on this sacred night, see that self within. And as you inhale and you take in this sacred life force, this prana, notice how the inner light can seem to get bigger, like you're giving oxygen to a fire. As you bring in that intentional life force, feel the light within expand. And as you exhale, with each exhalation, just allow yourself. The exhalations are an allowing, just an allowing of yourself to drop into self, an allowing of the self to rest in the self. If the mind wanders, don't worry, just bring it back. Bring it back to the breath and that brightly shining light within yourself that is showing you yourself. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together in Namaste at chest level. And gently rub the palms of your hands against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open the eyes and lower the hands. Welcome to Satsang. And happy Diwali to everyone. So beautiful to be together. People here in front could probably move up a little bit so that people standing in the back, if they want a place to come and sit, they can come and sit too. यदि आप लोग आके बैठना चाहेंगे तो जगह बना रहे हैं आपके लिए. So we begin as usual with a question that's come in from our online global audience. And then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. When we lose all hope, when there is no way, when we lose all hope, when there is no way of anything good happening, how can we live our lives? If we've lost all hope, no possibility, no chance of anything good happening, how do we live our lives? This is asked by our brother Bartendu on Instagram. It's moments like this that it's really important to ask ourselves what our ultimate goal in life is anyway. The point of life is not accumulating as many good things to happen as we possibly can. Then we just run after desires, we're running after accomplishments, we're running after achievements, we're running after the things that we want to happen. And the problem is, even if we do think that still many good things could happen, life becomes a constant game of waiting for that which we want to happen, worrying when it doesn't happen, getting stressed about when it's going to happen, is it going to happen the right way? And so even if good things do happen, we're constantly going up and down. And this is where all of our scriptures and our spiritual teachers and sages and rishis and yogis and wise ones have always told us that the point of life is not about pleasures. It's not about getting what you want. It's actually about knowing who you are. And when we unfold the petals of who we are, there's a lot of different analogies that people use. You can think of peeling an onion. You can think of a flower opening its petals up. You can think of lots of different ways, but when we unfold to who we are, when we remove layers of what we are not, layers of ignorance, such that we can actually experience that light, that truth, that infinity, that divinity of who we are, then life itself is a good thing. Every minute, every moment becomes an opportunity for goodness, because that goodness permeates us. We may still never get the job we want. We may still never get the raise or the promotion that we want. We may never get the boy or the girl that we want. We may never get anything that we in our minds think we want. But life itself becomes good, because our internal experience is one of goodness. And that's the point of life. Otherwise, one good thing happens and you feel great, and then you're worried about the next thing. I mean, this is the bottom line truth of desires, and it's why all of the teachings are all about let go of desires, let go of desires. It's not that desires are evil or that you're somehow a bad person if you have desires. It's just a really clear fact that desires tend to actually make us miserable. Therefore, if you are looking to live a life that is more stable than up and down misery, you have to be prepared to let go of desires. And it doesn't mean that we become apathetic or indifferent. What it means is that we may hold out a desire, a goal, a vision, but there's no sense of stress or tension of, oh my God, what if it doesn't happen? Because if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to be miserable. There's no fear, because we're aware it's not in my hands. So if you feel like nothing good can happen in your life, it means you're not actually living. There's plenty of people, lots and lots and lots of people, who have a lot of money, who have a lot of good things happening, who have the right job, the right house, the right spouse, the right physical shape, all of the things that so many of us think, oh, that would be a good thing to happen. Like that's what I want to happen in my life. And those people are on antidepressants, on anti-anxiety medicine, struggling with alcohol addictions, drug addictions, in loveless marriages, in relationships without loyalty, in a state of depression and angst, a kind of is this all there is experience of life. So good things do not actually bring a good inner experience. A good inner experience is that which arises on its own when we are in touch with the truth of who we are and with that connection to the divine universe, all others. It's that feeling that you get watching a sunrise or a sunset. It's not that the sunrise or sunset is the good thing, because the good feeling lasts even when the sun has dropped into the water or when the sun gets high in the sky. It's still with you. Because in that moment you have connected to something very deep and beautiful. It's the feeling that we get when we see the stars in the night sky. That feeling of being somehow part of something. That, oh my God, is so much bigger than that fiasco that happened in my life today. Or that unfulfilled desire that I had. And so, don't look for goodness in your life from things that are going to happen. You know, there's really interesting psychological studies. I'm an academic at heart still, even though I've been a monastic renunciant for going on almost 30 years at this point. But I'm still an academic at heart. And my academic background is in psychology. And we know something really interesting, which is people who win the lottery. Now, most of us would agree that counts as a good thing. Like, if you were going to make a list of the 10 good things I would like to happen in my life, and you were dreaming really big, winning the lottery probably would find its way somewhere on your list. Or if I said to, our brother Bartendu who asked this question, all right, well, if you won the lottery, would that count as a good thing? I'm pretty sure he would say yes. Because what we think is, if I won it, then I would feel happy. I would find something I am looking for. I would feel settled. I would feel free. I would be in peace to have what I want, buy what I want, go where I want, people would respect me, people would love me, people would want to be my friend. I would, have nice things and go nice places. But what we know from all of the studies is winning the lottery, even the big jackpot lottery, very, very temporarily. Yes, absolutely. You are much happier the day after winning the lottery than you were the day before you won the lottery. Absolutely. But a year later, not so much. 5 years later, you've gone right back. Your happiness has gone right back to exactly where it was before. If not, and this is the ironic but true part, if not actually lower. Because you had this enormous expectation of how happy, oh my God, this is going to make me. And then you realize, it's still me in here. New clothes, new house, new car, but still me in here. And that lack of happiness is not the old clothes or old house or old car, but is the me in here and the way she thinks, the identity she has, the way she moves through the world, the way she understands herself and the world. And that's actually what's taking my happiness. So, to our brother Bartendu, do not despair, do not lose hope. You are the good thing to happen in your life. Be that good thing. Because wherever you go, you're there. Whatever happens, you're there. Let yourself be the good thing to happen in your life. Any questions that anyone here has? So if you've got a question, we've got 2 microphones here on stands. You don't need to wait for me to call on you. Feel free to just go stand at the microphone and ask your question. Yeah.
Hello. My question is on the lines of grief.
The lines of belief.
Grief.
Grief.
I'm kind of processing this emotion right now because I recently lost a loved one, my elder sister. Just yesterday you said that parents should not bury their children, but that's exactly what happened. So my question or the help that I need from you is, actually being reflective is kind of part of the work that I do. I teach emotional intelligence to children and adolescents, but processing grief is kind of leaving me in a split. On some days it's absolutely self-deprecating. It's very easy to go into self-deprecation right now, and there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a hell lot of confusion. But at the same time, now as the time is passing, I also feel a force. I'll use the word thrust. That's what I used in my journal as well. A kind of cut the crap kind of an attitude, inner and outer, both. And it's a very scary pace, to be very honest, of the peeling of layers that you spoke about. Yeah. As if I want to run towards an ultimate truth, and it's very overwhelming, very scary. So I really need to understand what this split exactly is, because I feel too much on most days right now, and maybe guidance towards moving in a very careful direction, so that I can support myself and especially my parents, because the transition is very hard for them as well right now.
Of course. So there's no easy answer to grief. There's no answer to grief anyway. It's something that we just is. And we move through it. I'm not sure that it ever gets processed. You know, when I think about processing, I think about taking something in a raw state and putting it into a somewhat more refined state, a more kind of artificial state. So when you think about food, for example, you've got, fresh fruit or vegetables that come off the vines or off the tree or out of the ground, and then you process them. And we end up, instead of with a potato, we end up with potato chips. Or instead of with something that's fresh, we end up with something that will last on our shelf for 10 years. When I think about processing, you think about taking something from a more natural state into a refined state. And when you think about feelings or experiences, we talk a lot about processing them and being in process. And it's a word I used to use a lot to sort of refer to the fixing of myself. And it came with this belief that I was somehow not right, that the way that I felt was not right, that who I wasn't right, but that thankfully I had all of these professionals in my life who were helping me process depression or anxiety or fear or addiction or all of the different things that I had struggled with. But over these decades, what I've realized is I don't think, and I know that I'm emphasizing the semantics of the word, but I think it's a lot more than just our vocabulary. It's really how we think about it. I think the goal is actually to be as raw and as real as possible, that it's not about putting something through a process as it is creating space and allowing it. And there's always a natural shift and change. If you pluck an apple today or you unearth a potato today, on its own, it's going to change with time. Eventually, it's going to go back into the elements. It'll change shape, it'll change color. Soon it literally will be indistinguishable from the very earth out of which it came. And I think that a lot of our most difficult emotional states are those that it's not about how can I change this, but how can I simply allow it to exist while I don't turn my entire existence over to it. Because when grief happens, it's very easy to forget that there's anything other than grief. We become just in grief. We forget. Last night when we were speaking about opening our hearts, you'll remember that one of the things I emphasized around keeping our hearts open to the grief is also keeping our hearts open to joy. And one of the things that happens when we are grieving is we are almost unable, and sometimes even unwilling, to allow ourselves to experience the beautiful fragrance of a flower. Like, hey, amazing. Look at that. And it also seems rude sometimes That idea of how dare the flower blossom when my sister has died? How dare the sun rise? Like, how dare the world go on? There you go. How dare the world go on when she's not here? But there's something very, very, very powerful to opening ourselves up, even in the midst of what seems like drowning grief, to those little moments of the joy of the universe. And it's a flower opening its petals, and it's the fragrance that comes from it, or it's the face of a young baby, or it's a sunrise, or it's a sunset. Whatever it may be. But allowing those moments to come in as well. And so it's a creating of space. It's yes, this, and this. Grief is not something that you need to extricate from yourself. It's not a matter of, oh, I need, to have a surgery on myself so that there is no longer grief. We need to somehow get over it, be free of it. No. It's going to change you forever. You will never be the same. Who you are will change, has already changed, will continue to change due to the presence of and due to the loss of your sister. And what happens within you is you expand and shift. And that presence and absence simultaneously of her causes a transformation in you. So don't think about it as something you need to somehow become free of or deal with on that level. Just be with it. And as far as your parents, one of the first things that we always try to do, and it's very natural, it's just the first thing that happens is we say, why? Why? And we're looking for answers. And there are no answers. Yes, we can turn to laws of karma. We can turn to destiny. But I have yet to see someone who's grieving who feels helped by the idea that somehow this was part of destiny or karma. There isn't a satisfying answer. Which means that looking for an answer just makes things worse. Instead, it's a matter of allowing whatever is up. You just allow it. And you put one foot in front of the other, and you water the flowers in the garden. And you do whatever you need to do to go on with life. Knowing that you will be forever changed, but knowing that you will heal. You will absolutely heal. And your parents will heal. At this time, I think the only thing you can do for them is love them, be there with them. Obviously, take care of whatever logistics and pragmatics need to be, although in some cases taking care of logistics actually helps people stay busy and not wallow in sorrow. But it's also really important to understand, lastly, when we say you'll heal, that doesn't mean you're going to go back to how you were. And it doesn't mean everything's going to be okay and that you're going to come to a place where that's all right. What I mean by heal is you, the experience of you, the expression of you, will grow around and with this experience, around and with this loss, in a way that it just weaves into the very fabric of who you are. And it's going to open your heart. crack open your heart. And I think what you'll find is that you are so much more able to access compassion and love and understanding for others. And that you value the preciousness of life. One of the tragic lessons that loss gives us is the reminding of the preciousness of life. And so hold that as a gift. As a gift, a real gift that most of us don't have, that she left you with. And lastly, just obviously know that she's with you. The soul, the spirit, the presence, it is with you. And obviously the body is not. And that is a huge tragedy. And the soul is, and the spirit is. And allow yourself the opportunity to connect with the aspect of her that is not in a body. Through the aspect of you that is not your body. And that'll take you much, much, much deeper on your spiritual path as well. And that's something that you can really encourage your parents to do as well. Like, let's sit together and be with her in spirit, in soul, in presence. And acknowledge that presence. I'm so sorry for your loss. Yeah. Other questions?
Hello, yeah. I have one simple question.
Sure.
As we have in mobile our delete option, in
I'm
laptop,
sorry?
as in mobile we have delete option, in laptop we do have delete option. I want such a option for mind. In mind we do have so many scrap. How we can delete such thing?
So that, he said, as we have a delete option on our phones and on other devices, I want a delete option for my brain. I want to be able to delete.
How we can delete?
Yeah, how do we delete it? Great, great. Thoughts are literally, there's a lot of analogies. One of them that I love is a bubble. You know, children blow bubbles. And the bubble lasts for 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds. But the moment you touch that bubble, what happens? It bursts. Now, here's what's interesting with thoughts. If left untouched, automatically they will burst anyway. They will dissipate anyway. Another analogy is clouds floating across a blue sky. So whether you think of them as a bubble, or you think of them as a wispy cloud, or you think of them as just a wave on the ocean, it's here for a moment and then it's gone, and it's here and it's gone. The delete button is actually automatically programmed into the system. It's already automatically deleting. The dilemma is, we are the ones who hold on to it. We take one thought and we keep thinking about it. We keep doing this over and over and over and over and over again. Because on some level, some part of us likes it. Whether we are thinking something nasty about someone else, whether we are feeling awful about ourselves, whether we're worried, we're stressed, we're having thoughts of lust or greed or jealousy, or no matter how awfully painful it seems, there's some part of us that is attached to it. And I don't mean that it's necessarily pleasurable, that we like it because it's pleasurable, but we are, excuse me, we are attached to it out of habit, or because that particular thought pattern prevents me from having to have a different thought. So for example, if I keep thinking, you are stupid, you are worthless, you are lazy, you are irresponsible. Well, that doesn't feel good, it's not pleasurable, but it certainly prevents me from having a different thought, which is, what are you going to do with your life? When are you going to stand up to the plate of your life and live your life? Because see, if I can keep telling myself how worthless and stupid and lazy and irresponsible I am, I don't actually have to ask myself, and why is it that you're not looking at yourself? Why is it you're not meditating? Why is it that you are not using your gifts, your skills? Or if I keep thinking, this person has put a curse on me, or this person hates me, or the stars are against me, or my destiny is awful. Again, those thoughts, while not pleasurable, protect me from having to say to myself, how did I get into such a mess, and how am I going to get myself out of it? And so each thought actually automatically deletes. They're momentary, barely. But we keep doing them. We are the ones who keep dragging it right out of the recycling bin. Like we delete it and then we bring it back. And then we delete it and we bring it back. And delete it and bring it back. And we keep reading it over and over. And the machine is trying to delete it. And we're like, wait. And if it actually gets deleted, we type it back to ourselves. Oh yeah, I remember when he said that to me. I remember when I did that. I remember. Because we've become habituated to it. So the way to work with the mind, don't worry about what an individual thought is. The moment you're worrying about it, that thought is already over. But instead, work on expanding, extending, deepening the space between your thoughts. Work on knowing that you are not your thoughts. Work on simply being that awareness of the thoughts. So I can look at this candle flame and I can see it and I can have a thought about it, and then I can look at my shawl and see it and have a different thought about it, and look at the paper and have a different thought about it. And if I'm in my thoughts, then I'm going to feel like I'm kind of going crazy. Is it candle? Is it flame? Is it wax? Is it fire? Is it shawl? Is it wool? Is it orange? Is it white? Is it paper? And it's crazy making. But if instead I can recognize I am the one who is watching. I'm not the candle flame, I'm not the wax, I'm not the fire, I'm not the shawl, I'm not the paper. I'm actually that power. I am subject, not object. I am the one who notices that is a candle. I am the one who notices that is a shawl. I am the one who notices this is paper. I am the one with the power of eyes that see. What I'm seeing keeps changing. I am the power of sight. So when your thoughts are arising, instead of thinking, oh God, how can I delete you? God, just go. And all you're doing is slamming it straight into your own mind. You're making it really pukka, you know. Instead of that, just take a step back. Take a step back. You're the one who has seen that thought. You're the one watching. You're not the thought. You're the one watching. If it's junk, you're just looking at it. You drive by a McDonald's and I don't want to stop there. I saw it, but it's junk. I'm not going to stop. Because it's junk. Why would I want that? I don't need to remove it from the highway on my way home. I'm able to notice it without it impacting me. Because it was just a thing on the highway. I saw it and then I'm gone. This thought arises, you just see it, but it's gone. It's junk, fine. It's good, fine. Either way, you are not your thoughts. Because see, if you start getting stuck with the good ones, you're going to end up stuck with the junk ones. So you've actually got to recognize on every level, you are not the thoughts at all. You are the one who's aware. You are the one driving by who notices those golden arches along the way and says, junk. And just keeps going. Slowly, you don't even need to say junk. You don't even pay attention. So in the beginning, when the thought arises, just look at it and say junk and move on. It's junk. I mean, imagine that you're at a wedding, right? Where the guys keep coming around with plates of hors d'oeuvres. You're sitting, you're talking to somebody, or you're standing talking to somebody. And they keep coming around with different options. Well, sometimes what they come around with is total junk. You don't want it. Just see it, junk, no, thanks. And you go back to what you're doing. You don't spend all night all upset that guy tried to give you a hot dog. Right? You just know, junk, I don't want it. Thanks, but no thanks. And you go back to what you're doing. In the same way, the thought arises, just notice it, junk, go back. Another thought arises, junk, go back. But the key is, when something arises that you like, you still have to not grab it. So a pleasurable thought arises, you still need to look at it and say, thought, and go back. Because if you jump onto it, you're stuck. Whatever it is that's going by, whatever it is that these guys with the hors d'oeuvres are serving, you don't want them. Because you need to stay focused here. So, use a mantra. If you've been given a mantra by a guru, beautiful, wonderful. If not, choose any mantra that is powerful and meaningful for you. Choose a word, a name of the divine, and just chant that in your mind. The power of mantra jap is, on the one hand, because the mantras themselves are so powerful, but on a very basic level, it's also really powerful because it just keeps our mind in one place. Because we all have junk thoughts that emerge. It's part of the package deal of being human. And you just bring the mind back to the mantra, back to the mantra, back to the mantra, back to the mantra. And automatically they'll disappear. Great question. Any other questions? Yeah. But you want from here? Then they need to bring the mic to you, which is, Mm-hmm. It's okay. You know what, love? Don't worry. Really, do it from the mic. Well, you'll be great. It's fine. It's perfect. Whatever it is.
I hope I've not mixed up previous videos.
If we're mixed up, we'll sort ourselves out.
So whenever you've talked about loneliness,
About?
Your answer has been it's because we don't trust the universe. And I think it's always like and we don't trust the universe because we are fearful, and the ultimate fear is of death. Am I right have I mixed up?
But that's okay. You've brought in lots of different points. Is that the actual question, or is that the premise and the
So my question was, if I remember this correctly, I've never been able to understand how do we move back from fear of death to loneliness. Like I don't have a fear of death, but I might have a fear of loneliness.
Okay.
So I'm not able to relate the two.
Okay. So the core question is essentially how to overcome loneliness. The core question is how to overcome loneliness. Okay. And we'll take this as our last question, and then we have special Diwali sweets for everybody after. So don't leave after this question. We'll have more beautiful chanting and sweets. So loneliness arises for a lot of reasons. The key reason for loneliness is disconnection. And the key person we are disconnected from is ourselves. And that's why, a lot of people think the answer to loneliness is lots of friends. But the dilemma with that is, friends are great. I'm pro-friends. But if that were enough, then people surrounded by lots of people would feel not lonely. And people on intense, long, silent meditation retreats would feel excruciatingly lonely. And yet, not just on a personal level, but everyone I've ever heard who has gone on a long meditation retreat, and I don't even mean the sages and the saints and the rishis in the caves. We'll accept the idea that they are somehow of a special breed. And we'll leave that aside even for a moment. But just people who go on a month, 3 months, silent meditation retreats. You don't look at anybody, you don't speak to anybody. They should be lonely. But it's, in almost every case, the most powerful, amazing, ecstatic experience that people have had. It's not easy. But it's very powerful and very beautiful and very deeply connected. We feel lonely because we are meant to be, we are programmed for connection. That's how we are as human beings, programmed for connection. But we've mistaken it to think that that connection is just all about sort of superficial social gatherings. So if you have enough parties and you get invited to enough weddings and you have lunch with enough people every week, you won't be lonely. But the connection that we really need is on a soul level. It's nice to have people who we can connect with on an intellectual level and debate or, philosophize or whatever it may be. But really what we need is to see and to be seen. And that is the only cure for loneliness, is to see another being, like the depth of them, and to be seen by another being. To feel like I am seen by you. And you don't need 100 people for that, you just need one, maybe two. And so the cure for loneliness really is first to focus on seeing. Be that friend you are looking for, who it's not just about, oh, what a great sari, where did you buy it? You know, take me there next time, I want to go shopping with you. But actually, I see you. I see you on the level of your lowercase s self. I see your struggles and your challenges and your pains and your achievements, and I'm with you in them. They don't threaten me. I don't feel like your gain is my loss. I'm not trying in some way to bring you down. But I also see that capital S self. I see the depth of who you are. I see spirit. I see soul. I see divinity in you. Practice doing that with a couple of people in your life and see what happens to the loneliness. But of course, on the core, deepest level, and that which makes long-time meditation retreats so beautiful, it's what makes the sages and the saints and the rishis and the yogis not lonely, is that ultimate connection with yourself, with the divine. And that's the strongest connection that there is. And that's actually why people who are deeply spiritual are known across all sorts of science and psychology and medicine and research to be the most psychologically healthy people. I'm not talking about religious fundamentalists. I'm talking about people who have a deep spiritual life, whatever that may mean for them. But a deep connection to the divine. And so work it on both levels. Work your inner connection through prayer, through meditation, through chanting, through whatever it may be. But also pick a few people and slowly try to increase it. But begin with a few and really try to see them when you're looking at them, when you're talking to them. How deep can you go with them? And when people feel seen, then they have the courage to open their heart and to actually see you. Most of us are moving through the world so contracted because we are afraid. And this is what you had heard me speak to before. We contract out of fear, and when we contract, we don't allow ourselves to be seen by others because we're afraid. We're not afraid of the other, we're just afraid in general, and that fear causes us to contract, and we end up with a self-fulfilling prophecy. So come out of that fear, see others, connect with God deeply within you. And lastly, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cure for loneliness is serve. Not just see others, but help them. Do something that is actually for others rather than for yourself. And whether they become your best friend or whether you feed them a meal and you never see them again, either way, your loneliness will dissipate and ultimately disappear. Beautiful. A very, very, very happy Diwali, a Shubh Diwali, as we say, to all of you. We have Diwali sweets, which I will ask our beloved Seva team to go around and pass out. Shivani, Tiffany, Preeti, Krishna Priya. Yeah, all of you just take take a tray. ये वाली प्रीति जी को दे दीजिएगा, ये शिवानी को दे दीजिएगा. अच्छा चलो, ये शिवानी को दे दीजिएगा, ये प्रीति जी को दे दीजिएगा.